This conference will now be recorded.
I'm audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay. Thank you. Chaturmukha samarambham Vakbhadacharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ragadirogan sadada anushaktan asheshakaya prasrutan asheshan Aulsukya moharadidan jakhana Yo purva Vaidyaya Namostu tasmai. So namaskaram to one and all of you. We will be going through another session of Dravadravya Vidnyanam. We were going through the Purana Kritam. We saw many options, many possibilities of using Krita Kalpanas, Purana Kritam, Kshirottha Kritam, all these things. Now we will find a few more Kshira Vikritis. Balya Kilada Piyusha Kurchiga Moranadayaha. Balya Kilada Piyusha Kurchika. Kurchika is in some textbooks, it may be Kuchika. Moranadayaha. In some texts it will be Moradadayaha. Moranam and Moradam. Similarly, Kurchika and Kuchika, they are used interchangeably. Shukra Nidra Kabhakara Vishtambhi Guru Doshalaha. So here we find a few members which are basically Kshira Vikara, Kshira Vikriti. Kiladam, Piyusham, Kujika, Morada, Adayaha. There are a few more which are not listed in this shloka by name. Basically, all these are Shukra Nidra Kabha Karaha. Increases. Shukra Nidra Kabha. Shukra Nidra and Kabha. Vishtambhi. They are all Vishtambhi. Vishtambhi is something which causes the rodham of Adhovadadi Vega. That is what generally we mean by that Vishtambham. Stambha. It is a type of Stambha. Vishtambhi. Then Guru. They are all Guru. And Doshalam. So it is already told that they are Kabhakaram. Then what is the meaning of this Doshalam? That is a valid point. And we should see the commentary of Hemadri for getting a better idea about it. Hemadri comments on it like Doshalaha Amasanjayakarinah. That makes sense. Doshalaha Amasanjayakarinah. Dosha Shabdena Atra Amograhya. As we have used it in another sthanam. Sadosha Shabdam cha Shagradravam Srujadi Vegavad. There that Sadosha Shabdam is used to indicate Amam, and in the same way here also when we say that it is Doshalam, we should understand that it is having the potential to increase Amasanjaya. Amasanjaya Karina. Later in one of our another Dravya, what we may be discussing today, there also we will find this Sanjaya Krit. Fine. So we have a list of products, list of items, recipes or byproducts or stage specific status of Kshiram, Kiladam, Piyusham, Kujika, Moradam. Interestingly, there are many other stuffs. As all of you know, this dairy products, they have got a very huge number of items in that heading. Even now, dairy industry is one among the topmost graded industries in the world. So these are all milk products, of course, and there are differences in opinion about what they are. That is the sad part of it. What all these stuffs are. There are differences in opinion among authors. Maybe even the place or the locality, desam of these authors, even that is influencing while they define what this stuff is or these stuffs are. And how they are made, that is also another matter of dispute or contradiction many a times. We shall see a few of them. First one is Kilada. Arunadatta can be seen explaining Kiladam as a preparation which is made by mixing some milk with a larger bulk of takram, then heated and made it to coagulate, then strained, and that thick portion is known as Kiladam. That is what one way of understanding Kiladam is. Kiladaha alpakshiro bahuna takrena kritaha. Kiladaha alpakshiro bahuna takrena kritaha. That is how Arunadatta comments on it. And in some other texts, it can be seen as explained by the name Kshira Kurchika sometimes. Kurchika, we learned these terms in some other context in Sharirasthana, Anga Vibhaga. Kshira Kurchika, Kurcham. But it is told that when it is called Kshira Kurchika, it is not a strained one. That liquid portion is also there. Obviously, it will be a thick stuff. It will be a thick stuff with that unstrained liquid portion included. Some other authors call it as Takra Kurchika. So Kshira Kurchika, sometimes called by some other authors, maybe from a different place, Takra Kurchika. And if the same stuff is made out of dadhi instead of takram, then it is even called as dadhi kurchika. Dadhi kurchika. Some Nikhandus explain this in a different way. Nashtadugdhasya pakvasya pinda prokta kiladagaha. Nashtadugdhasya pakvasya pindaha proktaha kiladagaha. Nashtadugdhasya pindaha. Pakvasya nashtadugdhasya pindaha. Nashtadugdham. Nashtadugdham is actually dushtadugdham. The milk which just coagulate soon after starting heating. You take the milk, then put it on an oven or stove, start heating immediately, the milk coagulates, curdles. That is known as nashtadugdham. Coagulated milk or curd of milk. This nashtadugdham is heated and then that solid part is strained out. Then that solid part is known as Kilada, according to authors like Bhava Mishra. So that is about Kiladam, and we find Shira Kurchiga, Takra Kurchiga, Dadhi Kurchiga there. Then Piyusham. Piyusham, Arunadatta comments, Piyusha Sadhya Prasuda Kshira Krita. That Krita is not accepted widely. Piyusha means the fresh milk of any animal soon after delivery, soon after its delivering of a baby, the fresh milk of an animal. Even for the human beings, it's known as Piyusham. Piyusham actually is a focus of attention for many years. We find it here in our Samhitas, even older Samhitas, and on all the olden recipe books, culinary books and everything. And even in modern dairy industry, this Piyusham is an attraction. It's called colostrum, which is the first secretion from the breast of any animal soon after the delivery. Obviously, the cow's colostrum is a very highly expensive stuff. Many things are made out of it. Powdered colostrum. In the liquid form, it is yellowish to deep yellowish to orange in color, and it is supposed to be having lot of influences as far as the balam, immunity, vyadhikshamata, ojas, or whatever terms you use, whatever technique you use. In all these aspects, this piyusham is very important. Kshiram sadhya prasudayaha piyusham iti sapnita. That is how it is defined. Kshiram sadhya prasudayaha. Sadhya prasudayaha kshiram piyusham iti sapnita. Sadhya prasudayaha kshiram piyusham iti sapnita. This remarkably yellowish or orange colored liquid gradually changes its color to more a whitish to become the mature milk, kshiram. Then onwards it is known as kshiram only. So that in between, that means in between the stages of becoming this mature milk, starting from the stage of piyusha, generally it takes maybe a week's time, 7 days time, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. During that period, this secretion is known as moradam or moranam. That is what the moradam is. A widely accepted understanding. Definitely there are differences in opinion, different ways of explaining, different ways of making moranam. So it is not at all something related with this colostrum. But this is one way of defining or understanding what moranam is. The 7-day period is not very important actually. The 7-day period is not very important. Until it becomes the good proper milk or mature milk, it is known as moradam. That is the general understanding. Up to that proper mature milk is formed. And the general understanding is that Saptaratral Param Kshiram. Saptaratra, after 7 days it becomes Kshiram. And that yellow to orange or orange to yellow to white, that shifting is the Moradam stage. Sometimes this Moradam, as I told earlier, is something like when you prepare a recipe with the equal quantity of kshiram and takram and then warmed, and then a preparation is made out of it, making it some sort of a curdling. Then it is known as Moradam. That is another school or another way of explaining this Moradam. But I think I would prefer to understand it as I explained earlier. Then in Sangraham, if we look for some more details, we can find a couple of more preparations. Kilada Dadhi Kujika Takrapindaga Moradaha Sakshirashaga Piyushaha. So we find a couple of more words here. Takrapindagam, Kshirashagam, and the properties explained are almost same. Rojana, Vannisadana, that is an additional points. Rojana, Ruchyam, Vannisadana, Vannisadana. Shukradidra Kabhakara Vishtambhi Guru Doshala. It is that we can find there also. Kilada Dadhi Kujiga Takrapindaga Moradaha Sakshirashaga Piyushaha Rojana Vanhi Sadhana Shukranidra Kabhakara Vishtambhi Guru Shitala. That is what we find about these stuffs in extra in Sangraham. Most of these stuffs, except this Piyusham and Moradam, like this Kshirashagam, Takrapindagam, when you keep this Takram in a peculiar type of straining cloth and allowed the liquid portion to get sieved through the cloth, and the solid part is remaining in the cloth, that is known as Takrapindagam. Kshirashagam, Shagam, that word itself is quite interesting. The Shagam is generally we use this Ksharam for making this the vegetable. Shagam is a word used for to represent vegetables. So something which is used as vegetable but made from Kshiram is known as Kshirashagam. And interestingly, most of these preparations, they are different types of preparations of cheese, what we call these days as paneer or the Indian cottage cheese. So they are different types. Of course, there may be many methods, many types of this paneer made with different types of additives, different combinations, different proportions of these ingredients and everything. So it may be one sensible idea to understand all these stuffs as different types of cheese or paneer. And basically, all these are Guru in nature. All are Guru in nature. Then there are some more interesting, because I think even though we may not be using these things in the name of Kiladam or Takrapindagam or Kshirashagam, it is quite obvious that the consumption of dairy products of this sort, especially the paneer, it has become a very, very common these days everywhere. That is the interesting thing. Previously, I think this was there were local cultures, local traditions of making all these things, and from Kerala, I can say that it was not at all a custom or a tradition or a regular way of using this paneer in Kerala. It never comes as a standard stuff in the menu of a traditional Kerala meal or diet. But these days, it is so abundant, so common, that it is available even in the village restaurants and roadside restaurants and everywhere. So we should have some idea about all these things, because it is not very rare. Even though the names look strange and odd, the way in which it is used is not so rare. It is very common. Then generally it is told that Deeptagninam Anidranam Sarva Eva Sukhaprada. Deeptagninam. So this is Sukhapradam only if you are Deeptagni. Then if you have got an Anidra or Alpanidra, these stuffs may help. These stuffs may help. Gurava, Tarpana, Vrishya, Brahmana, Pavanapaha. So it is a classical Vadahara drug with all the Brahmana properties. Deeptagninam Anidranam Sarva Eva Sukhaprada Guravas Tarpana Vrishya Brahmana Pavanapaha. So we should have that understanding with us. It is to be used only by Deeptagni Vyayama Nitya type of persons. Now, the properties of this, both good and bad properties of all these dairy products tend to differ according to the property of the milk. We saw different types of milks earlier. Accordingly, the paneer made out of different types of milk definitely will have different types of properties. So that also should be kept in mind. Sangraha reminds us Vidyad Dadhi Kridadinam Gunadoshan Yathapayah. Yathapayah Gunadoshan Vidyad. Dadhi Kridadinam. Of all these stuffs what we discussed so far, Gunadoshan Yathapayah Vidyad. According to the milk what we use to make these things, the properties also changes. So that is one point. Then among all these milk products, especially Kshira and Krida, Go Kshiram and Go Kritam are considered as the best. Gavye Kshira Kride Shreshte. Quality wise, cow's milk and ghee, they are considered as the Shreshta, Uttamam. And Nindidecha Avisambhave, the least preferred ones are those made from Avikshiram and Aviga Kritam. They are the least preferred, the lastest or the least preferred types of these Kshiram and Kritam. Fine. With that, I think we conclude the Kshira Varga. The way Kshira Kride Shreshte Nindidecha Avisambhave. Now we will switch over to Ikshu Varga. Ikshu Varga. Ikshu is the sugar cane. See, in the Samhitas itself, we find a classification of Ikshu Vargam, which shows that the usage of Ikshu with all the Ikshu Vikaras was so popular, so common, even in the periods of Samhitas. Everywhere we find this in Samhitas. So that is the beginning of Ikshu Vargam. Iksho Saro Guru Snigdho Brahmana Kabhamutra Krut Vrishya Shido Asrapittagnaha Swadupaga Reso Resaha. Ikshoho Resaha. That is the first stuff what we are going to explain. Juice. Ikshoho Resaha Saraha Guruhu Snigdhaha Brahmanaha Kabhamutra Krut Karodi Idi Krut Kabha something extra with it. Ikshosaro Guru Snigdho Brahmana Kabhamutrakrit. Same. This is the same what we saw in the Hrudayam. But another line after Vrishyasido, then Pavanajit, specifically told that it is Pavanajit, but Bhukre Vada Prakopanaha. Even though it is Vadajit, Bhukre Vada Prakopanaha. If you consume this Ikshu Rasam soon after your meal, then it can cause Vada Kopam in the Koshta. Bhukre Vada Prakopanaha. Raktapitta Prashamanaha Swadupagaraso Rasaha. So this Saram Guru Sniktham contributes for Vada Haratvam, but when it is mixing with that Bhukdam or Bhuktamatra Aharam, it creates Vishtambham and thus Koshta Vada Varthagam. That should be kept in our mind. Ikshosaro Guru Snigdho Brahmana Kabhamutrakrit Vrishyasida Pavanajit Bhukte Vada Prakopanaha Raktapitta Prashamanaha Swadupagaraso Rasaha. Juice from the different parts of this sugarcane stem, it has got slight changes in its taste. It also is based on how you extract it. That is what we find in the next few lines. It is told that so agre sa lavanaha. So agre sa lavanaha. In both Ashtanga Hrudayam and Ashtanga Sangraham, we will find the same explanation. Agre. Agre means if you take the piece of sugarcane stem between two consecutive ribs, then that portion near the ribs, it is known as agra. Agre means near the ribs. So there it is salavanaha. Even though it is sweet, kinjid lavanaha. Agre salavanaha kinjid lavanaha. Sushruta has made a more specific observation on this, which is there quoted by Sarvanga Sundara Vyakhya. Adiva madhuro mule madhye madhura evacha agre ikshishu cha vitneyah ikshunam lavano rasaha. Adiva madhuro mule madhye madhura evacha madhye madhura evacha agre ikshishu cha vitneyah agre ikshishu cha vitneyah ikshunam lavano rasaha. Here the moolam, Hemadri has clarified it. Moolam means it is the first kandam among the Madhyama Kandanam. Madhyama Kandanam Prathamo Kanda. That is known as the moolam here. So that mule adiva madhuraha madhye madhura evacha agre kshishu cha vitneyah ikshunam lavano rasaha. That agram is considered as the tip portion of the entire stem as well. So I think somebody should taste it. It is true that on the tip portion of the entire stem, if you chew, you can feel that salavanata. Near the center portion and the little bit bottom portion, it is very sweet, but on the tip portion, the stem has got a salavana rasa. So agre salavanaha. Then dandapiditah sharkara samaha. Dandapiditah sharkara samaha. Dandapiditah. When you chew the stem, Dantapididam, with your own teeth, it is as sweet as Sharkara Samaha, sugar. It is as sweet as sugar. Then next we find when this whole stem is pressed in a mechanical expeller, what is going to happen? So even at that time, there was mechanized expellers to expel the juice out from the stem. Moola agra jandujagdhadi pidanad malasangarad kinjitkala vidhrutyacha vigrutim yadi yandrikaha. Yandrikaha. Yandrikaha itshurasaha. Yandrikaha means something related to yandra. So a yandra which is used to extract this sugarcane juice, the entire stem is put into that press. So the moolam will be there, agram will be there. Sometimes there may be some jandujagdha portions may be there. So they all may be squeezed together in the system, in that machine. And sometimes some waste materials may also be added, malasangarad. Then after during the expulsion procedure, the entire stuff will be standing for some time in the vessel. Kinjit kala vidhrutyacha. So due to all these things, that means the stem will not be of the same type. It will have moolam, agram. It can have some damaged, rotten portions all through, maybe when you go through the entire stuff, then malasangaram can happen, and kinjit kala vidhrutya, vidharanam also can happen. Then that because of these, vigridim yadi yandrikaha. Yandrikaha itshurasaha vigridim yadi. That is not as good as a freshly taken or taken from the same type of stem. And this also shows some other characteristics of Vidahi, Guru, Vishtambhi. Guru is already told as a guna of Ikshurasam. So it is repeated because this is Guru. Vidahi, Guru, Vishtambhi. It will be Vidahi as well as Vishtambhi. So whenever you prefer to have your piece of sugar cane, select the best part of the stem and also chew it to get the best juice out of it. There are some advices regarding the use of Ikshurasam. Ikshurasam, these days, I think we can find this Ikshurasam available on the roadsides when you go for maybe a long drive or so. Many times in the summer, you can find this Ikshurasam sold on the roadsides. So there are some advices. Bhuktva pibed ikshurasam kabhatma. Bhuktva pibed ikshurasam kabhatma. This is from Kashyapa Samhita. Kabhatma, if you are having some kabha predominance, kabhaja vyadhi or kabha prakriti or some way or the other, an inclination or a predominance of kabha, bhuktva pibed ikshurasam. You drink ikshurasam after taking your food. Bhuktva pibed ikshurasam kabhatma. Pragbhojanad Paitigavadigautu. Paitigavadigautu for Pitta predominant conditions and people, and also in Vada predominant conditions and people. Pragbhojanad Pibedikshurasam. Bhojanad prak. Before your meal, you drink this Ikshurasam. Samsrishta doshasya hidonna madhye. In Samsrishta dosha, you take this anna madhye. Tadha hi sarve sukhamapnuvanti. Tadha hi sarve sukhamapnuvanti. Then you can use it as if to get sukham. All persons can use it in this prescribed manner. But at the same time, even though it is told that, okay, you can use this in this way, Kashyapa Samhita, as you know, is more special about the Kaumara Bhakti, Balaroga. And one interesting point that we can find in Kashyapam is that if you can give milk to a child, then you can give Ichurasam as well. Esham adhoktam cha payaprashastam tesham hitaschekshurasa shishunam. So if you can give paya, kshiram, to a shishu in a particular condition, that means in that particular condition you can give Ichurasam as well. We may remember that during the Vamana Karmam, Akandham Paitan Madhyam Kshiram Ichurasam Rasam, there also I think one substitute for Kshiram is Ichurasam in Vamana Vidhi. It is just a coincidence. I just bringing it to your memory, maybe. Interestingly, there are many conditions in which this Ikshurasa is Apathya. So that also should be there in our mind. Jvara adisarama galamayeshu. Jvara adisarama galamayeshu. Vishujika kushta kilasa kase. Pandvamaye. Shula jalodareshu. Chardhyam. Kabhodrega virikta vande. Chardhyam kabhodrega virikta vande. Nastakriya vasti niruhideshu. Nastakriya vasti niruhideshu. Swarobakhada kshaya pinaseshu. Swarobakhada kshaya pinaseshu. Prameha shobha urugadeshu nadyad rogeshu abhishyanda samuthideshu. Abhishyanda samuthideshu rogeshu cha na adyad. You are not supposed to take this ikshu in any form, ikshurasam, especially in any of these conditions which we listed out here. This is also an important information. Similarly, we find certain other conditions as well where this ikshurasam is prohibited, contraindicated. Graheshu sarveshu tadhadi vruddhau balye. So previously we saw that it is good in balyam. The same thing we saw in Kshira Vikritis as well. So the condition is very specific. We should go through the quality of the ikshurasam. Accordingly, you have to decide whether this can be given or not. So here, balyedi nidre, adinidre, it is contraindicated obviously. Kabharogidecha, ikshuprayogo nahitaha. Ikshuprayogo nahitaha. So all these points should be there in our mind regarding Ikshu, and generally I think it all Ikshu vikaras as well. Then back to Ashtanga Hridayam, we find some types of Ikshu explained. Tatra Paundragaha. Tatra Paundragaha Shaityaprasada madhuryairvaraha. Tatra Paundrakaha Shaityaprasada madhuryairvaraha. Varam Shreshtham. So, Paundrakaha, the type or the variety of Ikshu, known by the name Paundragam, is supposed to be the Shreshtham, the best Varam. Because Shaitya Prasada Madhuryaihi. Its Shaitya, Shitavirya, Prasada, Madhuryam are taken as or considered as the best among all types of Ikshu. So, Paundragam is the best variety of Ikshu. Then, Tamanu Vamsikaha. Vamsikaha. Vamsikaha Ikshuhu Tamanu. It is supposed to be the second best. Tam anu Vamsikaha. So the best type is Paundragam, then Vamsikam. Then next we find Shataparvaga, Kandara, Naivaladhyaha, Tadakramad, Saksharaha, Sakashayascha, Soshnaha, Kinjid Vidahinaha. Other types called Shataparvagam, Kandaram, Naivalam, Adhyay, etc. They are Tadakramad. They are preferred, maybe inferior, as inferior to the first two what we mentioned. That means Paundragam and Vamsikam. Because they are Sakshara, having some Kshara property, Sakashaya, some Kashaya property, Soshna, little bit Ushna, and Kinjit Vidahinaha. They are little bit of Vidahinaha as well. So they are considered as inferior to the first two. So that is all about the types of Ikshu, what we saw in Ashtanga Hridaya. Then there are different Ikshu Vikaras. Now we just saw different types of Ikshu and only the Ikshu Rasam. But there are Ikshu Vikaras which are made out of this Ikshu Rasam. Generally, there are 5 types: Bhanidam, Gudam, Malsyandi, Gandam, and Sharkara. 5 types as listed by Hemadri. And first we find the properties of Bhanidam. Bhanidam Guru Abhishyandi Chayakrit Mutra Shodhanam. Bhanidam Guru Abhishyandi, Guru Abhishyandi Kabha Vardhagam. Chayakrit, again maybe Ama Sanjaya Krit or Tridosha Vardhagam. Mutra Shodhanam. It is Mutra Shodhanam. That is used very often. This property of this Bhanidam is used. Mutra Shodhanatam. Bhanidam is actually a liquid form of Guda, jaggery. Liquid form of jaggery. This sugarcane juice, after extraction, is boiled, and then that water content in it is getting reduced slowly, and obviously the consistency also changes. Generally, lime will be added while boiling, and along with this lime, many of this wood particles which is there in the juice, they will be floating over this boiling juice liquid, and that lime along with that wood particles will be skimmed away from that boiling liquid. Then slowly the consistency of this juice will be changing as we are preparing our avaleha kalpana. You all know that it becomes that tandumat. So in that stage it is kept. Then it is called bhanitam. Bhanitam, liquid jaggery or pani. That is what we call in our local language. This bhanitam is what we saw here: Guru Abhishyanti Chayakrit Mutra Sodhanam. To make it as gudam, it is further reduced. Then it is while before cooling, it is transferred to the specific vessels and slowly cooled down, and it solidifies. That is how the gudam is made. And during that procedure, some bleaching may be done. Accordingly, the color of the gudam also changes. Accordingly, it is known as dhauda gudam and adhaudam, which we will find later. So this is about bhanidam. Then the next is the type of gudam. Gudam, we have got that Hemadri comments. There are 4 types: gudas chadurtha, dhauda, adhauda, purana, navabhedena. There are different types. Nadishleshmakaro dhaudaha srishtamutra shagrit gudaha prabodha krimi majja asringmedo mamsakabho aparaha. Aparaha adhaudaha. So if it is dhauda, it is nadishleshmakaram and srishtamutra shagrit gudaha. Gudam is a very liberally used material in Ayurveda, isn't it? Avaleha kalpana, many forms, is very liberally used. So we should have some idea about the quality of gudam available in the market, because lot of manipulation, lot of adulteration, wrong practices of making gudam, lot of very dangerous practices. Contamination is very high. Many things are very toxic. There are a lot of works regarding this adulterants, contaminants, and this toxic residues in gudam. So I think all Vaidyas should have a thorough understanding about what is going on around. Don't think that what you get as gudam is gudam. So that adhaudam is prabhuda krimi majja asringmedo mamsakabhaha. Prabhuda krimi, prabhuda majja asringmeda mamsakabhaha. So it increases all these things. So there are properties good as well as bad. So you have to be very choosy which one to be used, whether it is adhaudam or dhaudam. Again we find hridya purana pathyascha. Puranaha gudaha pathyam. So when it is puranam, like many other stuffs, at least 1 year old, it is known as, it is pathyam. It is not known as, it is purana gudam, it is pathyam. Hridyaha cha. Whereas navaha shleshma agni sadakrit. Nava gudam is shleshmakrit and agni sadakrit. Gudam is a very important raw material, and we can find very interesting references about gudam in Nikhandu. one such reference, one such important or interesting quote about Gudam is Shleshmanamashu vinihandi sada ardragena. When mixed with the ardragam you all know, ginger. Shleshmanam ashu vinihandi. Shleshmanamashu vinihandi sada ardragena. Pittam nihandi cha tadeva haridagi bhihi. Along with the haridagi, Gudam nihandi pittam. Shundhya samam haradi vadam ashesham. Shundhi is Shundhi. Shundhya samam haradi vadam ashesham. Itham doshatrayakshayakaraya namo Gudaya. So my salutations are due to the Gudam, which can work as doshatraya kshayakaram. Doshatraya kshayakaraya namo Gudaya. Shleshmanamashu vinihandi sada ardragena. Pittam nihanti cha tadeva haridagibhihi. Shundhya samam haradi vadam asheshamitham doshatraya kshayakaraya namo Gudaya. We will have n number of occasions where we find this Gudam is used in different kalpanas. In Asava Kalpana, Arishta Kalpana, Avaleha Kalpana. Then as Praksheba in many situations of Kashayam. Many Vada Shamana Kashayams are having Gudam as the Prakshepam. The Gandharvastadi Kashayam. Sasaindhava Gudam Pavanasya Shandyai Vanher Balai Rujaye Malashodhanaya. Like that, there will be many situations. So you should have a good understanding about Gudam. It should not be looked into in a very casual way. So I think with that we will conclude. We have a couple of more things to discuss about this Ikshu Vikaram, but I think we will stop here today and see the remaining portions in our next session. Okay, Nilesh. And wish you all a very, very happy new year, very healthy new year.
Same to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There is one question flashing, sir.
Yes.
Is Guda useful included in Prameha when it is Guda Vikrutamcha? Guda Vikrutamcha.
Guda is not good in Prameha in any form. It is not good in any form in the usage of Pramehi. Maybe when compared with the sugar, you may find some minor advantages, like it contains lot of this what we find earlier. That means the non-sugar particles, which is otherwise known as malam. But they are maybe giving some advantage to the Pramehi. But otherwise, it is not at all good for the Pramehi. We find in the earlier shloka also, all Ikshu Vikaras, that Prameha Shobhoru Gadeshu Nadyad Prameham Nadyad. You should not take this in Prameha. Okay.
Yes, sir, definitely. Yes. So with this, I think we will conclude, sir, today.
Yes.
And again, wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year. COVID-free New Year.
Yes.
Hope so. We all will
So
be. Yes,
meeting next year. Yes.
yes,
So
yes.
once again, a very studious new year to all of you. Okay, bye.
Bye, sir. Bye. Thank you, sir.